Hi, I'm Aeon, and this is a video. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AeonAir sits down and copes over the fact that he is terrible at video games and cannot beat the level he tries to beat. So, I wanted to just have a little bit of a chit-chat today. It's one of those days where I just wanted to sit down, talk a little bit, and just express my thoughts and opinions. I'm not going to be using today as like, oh, feel bad for me because I'm struggling with a level that I'm trying to beat. No, what I want to do today is use it as like a case study and go a little bit deeper into like the mentality and the experience of struggling with something for as long as this, because I know that it is relatable to a lot of people just having a hard time beating something and taking a long time to beat said level. I have many friends who tried to beat stuff and were spending months and months and months on it, and then just the mental game becomes so anguishing. As like a proof of concept, I have like a mood chart app that like tracks my mood from day to day that I use, and after my 92, my mood noticeably went down, like on average, and the days where I was playing really well and made a lot of significant progress, my mood went up again. And I think it's an interesting thing to take a look at, how you like respond and react to stuff like this. This is gonna be the first time I like mention anywhere between or anything about like my attempt count, all that stuff, and how I'm performing with the level. I have passed like 100-something thousand attempts, right? I have over 6 digits worth of attempts now, and it is a very mentally grueling experience playing for like 5 hours a day, and that is very clinically me. Not everyone is going to be able to play the same level for 5 hours a day. That is something that is almost exclusively a me thing. However, I do think it adds into the experience, because if it wasn't for the fact that I could play 5 hours a day, I would be spending like a year on this level, right? Realistically, being stuck on a level for this long with this high of a percentage for a very long time is going to mentally exhaust someone. That is just kind of how it is, because you're so close to beating it, but you just can't clutch out that one attempt. And what I've noticed is that, for me personally, I don't know if this is like an everyone thing, but I've noticed that I keep getting more nervous getting far into the level now than before, because I feel like there are higher stakes. And I don't know if that's something anyone else has experienced, but what I notice now is that every time I get past 55%, which is like the major choke point for Hard Machine, is that when I get there, and when I pass the ship part and enter into like the final part of the level, I get significantly more nervous now than I did when I just had like 92, or when I just had 78, for instance. And I was just like not feeling that close to beating it, because truthfully, after I got my 92 and my 94, I was like, okay, it's just a fluke, right? I just kind of like fluked. I had 2 insane sessions in a row. I'm not going to be able to replicate that for a while. And then I got more 92s, more 94s, I got a 96, and I got a 93. And now it's like, I feel like every time I get to the 70s, I have stakes. There are stakes in place that determine whether or not I'm going to be playing this level tomorrow or not. And those stakes make it so that I feel like there is more pressure to actually perform. And I don't know if that's something everyone else can relate to, but I find it very difficult for myself, at least, to just hone in. And I feel like that's part of the reason why I get like quote-unquote unlucky with a lot of levels versus not unlucky and get very lucky and fluke a lot of levels, is because if I fluke a level, I don't really have any stakes. Like if I'm fluking a level, I don't really feel like there's any there isn't a downside. Pretty much. What I'm trying to say is there is no downside to me failing a fluke, because normally I would take that long anyway. If anything, I'm just speeding up the process and I'm beating the level faster than I intended on doing, right? So whenever I'm fluking, I don't really feel those kinds of nerves, and it's an easier time fluking. However, when I've gotten to a point where I'm at now, where I have over 50-something deaths into the 70s on this level, 6 of them are into 90s, there are significant stakes, because every attempt could be it. When I'm at least fluking a level, there are no necessary stakes, and there is no it could be any attempt kind of feeling. There is no, okay, this could be the attempt, because not every attempt could be the attempt, because I'm just not good enough at the level yet. However, with Hard Machine, right now, for me at least, every single attempt that makes it to a certain point could be the attempt that I beat the level. And I personally find that adding a lot more pressure, and I think it's very interesting to take a look at the mentality of it, in the sense that when you think you're close to something and you're close to completion, your brain kind of goes into hyperdrive, and whenever you get somewhere, you kind of get like a giddy feeling, I would say. Like, I don't think it's like a nervous, like, oh, I'm like scared kind of nervous, right? It's not the kind of nervous that we associate with the word nervous. It's the kind of nervous that, like, it pumps up your heart rate because you get almost excited. I think it's like an excited feeling of, oh, this could be the attempt. I'm so hyped to just be done with this because I've spent the past 4 months of my life and 100-something thousand attempts on it. This could be the end. I could beat this right now and I don't have to play the level ever again. It's like an excited feeling that increases your heart rate, and to me at least makes you more prone to just making mistakes. And as those add up, you get significantly more and more nervous for each one because you get more and more excited to see the end and finish line. And I've been thinking and pondering about this for the last few days now, whether or not the bad experiences that I personally experience through beating levels and getting very unlucky with a lot of levels comes from the idea of me becoming excited about actually finishing. Because I have this like weird thing with me where I either get really lucky. I have a lot of massive flukes on a lot of levels where I've just gotten extremely lucky with a ton of different things. And then I have like multiple opposite world record flukes where I just have the most amount of late deaths in a level of any kind. Like take Titan Complex. I'm not gonna say for sure, but I would like to put a decent bet on the fact that no one has come close to my luck with Titan Complex, where I had like 50-something deaths into the 70s. 15 of them were past 90. Same with Rust. Very few people have my luck with Rust, where I had like 200-something attempts to the list percent, and like 50 of them were in the last cube. I know that there's one person, Palmiero, he had more last part deaths than me, but I had significantly more deaths between 50 and 70 than he had. So I think it added up to me having slightly more. So I have a ton of like opposite record flukes where I just have the most amount of deaths out of any person. And I think that boils down to the idea of after I've gotten unlucky, like slightly unlucky with like slightly above average bad luck. So for Rust, it was like after I passed like 7 or 8, maybe 10 last cube deaths, I would start to be like, okay, I've gotten there so many times now that I know for a fact that is not a fluke anymore. It is not a fluke that I'm reaching that point. I am very capable of doing it, and it builds an anticipation and an excitement to be done with the level. And I think that's the point where I've hit with Hard Machine now, because the first like 10 times I think I reached the end of the level, I didn't feel close to beating it. I think I had like 10 something maybe attempts to the 70s before I got 92, and after I got 92 I didn't really feel like, okay, I'm close to beating it now. I got 94, didn't feel close to beating it. However, after I got my 92 and my 94 again, I got 2 92s, 2 94s, I was like, okay, this is no longer a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that I'm capable of reaching the 90s this many times. I'm certainly close to beating it now. Every time I get to 70, I just have to focus in and hone it and just go for it. That is what is between me and beating the level now. So after that point, I've gotten significantly more excited about the idea of going far because I'm like, okay, this could be it. And that excitement, again, makes you more nervous because the idea of completion is greater than your focus almost. At least in my case. It might just be a me thing and it might just be me being stupid, but the way that I see it and the way that I feel about it is the fact that once I've hit a certain point, nerves become significantly more aggressive. The aggressive nature of those nerves, because of the fact that I can beat the level, just overrides it. Like yesterday, for instance, I got 93. 93 is something I would never have died to. I've never died to it in a run. I have 15 48 to 100s. I have 13 or 14 43 to 100s. I have 4 39 to 100s. I have 5 32 to 100s. I have 2 26 to 100s. I've never in my life died in 93. And the only reason I had 93 was because I got into the 90s. I got to the end. I was feeling super confident. I was like, oh my god, this is it. I'm actually doing it now. And I just choked. And the choke came essentially from the idea that I thought I was going to beat it because I was playing the ending super well, and my brain just kind of like went hyperdrive, like, oh, holy shit, I'm done. I'm finished. And I choked an input that I've never died to in runs before because of that overarching feeling of this could be it. And I don't know what you can do to override that feeling. I'm genuinely not sure. I've had a lot of talks to Varium about this, the verifier of Hard Machine, because he's the person that I'm just like, kind of like venting to, basically, about the level. Him and Kyoto, one of the victors and a good friend of mine, and both of them, both Kyoto and Varium, have told me just you just gotta like calm yourself down and think it's not over until it's actually over. But I feel like there's just something inherently very difficult about that. I tried that very hard yesterday. I played 2 sessions. I played for 2 hours. I got 8 attempts to the 70s. And then I played another 2 hours a little bit later, and I got 2 attempts to the 70s, one of them being 93. And in the second session, where I played not even subjectively, just objectively worse than I did my first session, I was like super focused on the idea that I can do this, I'm confident, I feel good about it, I'm just gonna play, and I'm gonna get far as much as I possibly can, and I will hopefully just be able to clutch it whenever I get there. And that's when the 93 happened. I was super confident with myself, I felt amazing. But then I kind of want to say subconscious feeling, because I didn't feel it then and there. I did not feel it then and there. However, I talked about it a little bit on stream afterwards, after I got it, because I was like, damn, I really thought I had it there. I genuinely did think that I had it there, and I think that's why I ended up choking. Not because I thought it like directly. I didn't just sit there and play like, oh my god, this is it. I was sitting there focusing, staring at my screen and being like, okay, do the inputs the way that you're supposed to do them, and then I messed up. And in hindsight, I realized that it was partially because of that subconscious feeling of, holy shit, this is it. And it's kind of hard. I don't know if it's like a me thing, but I do think it's like genuinely a difficult thing to process and accept. And I think when I see a lot of people being like, holy shit, I've spent like 6 months on this level or 8 months on this level and I just can't seem to finish it off, I think a lot of it boils down to the idea of you've gotten far a lot of times and you just subconsciously think every single time that you get far that it's the end. And I think trying to remove that feeling to the best of your ability is gonna be like your greatest friend, basically. And I think that is what differentiates the best players from the not the best players. So what differentiates me, for instance, from someone like Space or someone like Wolves is their ability to detach themselves from the achievement of beating it and just focusing on playing. Whenever you see, I always kind of like enjoy pointing to Wolves' Tartarus completion in this sense, where I think the reason why Wolves was able to do the Tartarus completion the way he did, where he was like speaking at like 80 and was like, oh my god, lol, I beat Tartarus, even though we had like 15% more of the level to play through, which is the hard part of the level, was simply because of the fact that he was completely detached from it. There were no stakes for him. Him dying was just not an issue. He didn't have any reason to feel nervous about it, because why would he need to be? It was just a completion for him. Like, sure, it was the hardest level in the game, it was the new hardest, but he didn't have a reason specifically to feel like this is his big break. For a lot of us, it's not something that we're going to be able to do. I think that's what makes or breaks a top player career, is basically just being able to just not care. Being emotionally attached to the level that you're playing is a very hard thing to accept. And I, for one at least, am very emotionally attached to Hard Machine. So even though I want to say that, oh, I'm just going to detach myself and just focus on playing, it's so much easier said than done. I've been playing it, as I said, for 4 months. I've been playing it for 230 hours, according to my whitest, which is active playtime. That's not just me staring at my screen or just like doing other things as well and just playing it every now and then. That is active playtime. That is active playtime of attempts. 230 hours of active attempts going in. That is like a 500 hours worth of in-game time, pretty much, right? That is an absurd amount of playtime for one level. And that emotional attachment is very hard to like rip yourself out of. And I think it's interesting. I think it's very interesting. It's something that I've been thinking a lot about, especially with the Hard Machine grind now. I'm hopefully going to beat it soon. I mean, it's literally about a matter of time, as I've been saying this entire video. It's just a matter of just pulling it through, because I'm very capable of doing it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm sorry if this video is a little bit rambly. I just really wanted to just express some thoughts and opinions that I had and show you guys some clips of Hard Machine. Hopefully this video makes sense. I normally have like some form of script or like bullet points to like pull through with stuff, but I didn't this time. I just kind of went on my intuitive speaker abilities to just speak my mind on what I think. So hopefully this video makes complete sense. If not, oops. But I just wanted to talk. I really just wanted to talk. I wanted to express myself. I'm the kind of person that if I have something on my mind and I can't say it or write it down anywhere, I'm just going to continuously think about it until I've said it. And now I've said what I wanted to say, and I just hopefully you guys get something out of it. I'll see you guys around. Eat you, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Think of making my day better. Hoping yours a little bit better too. See you guys around. Join my Discord server if you haven't already. Link to that in the description. Follow me on Twitch if you want to see me live playing Hard Machine. Woo! Anyway, thank you, Errol. I'll see you guys around. Peace out, everyone.